We recognize in Washington that you and your nonprofits and other organizations to help kids need help. And in the economic recovery package that we passed, we put money in that for you. And this money is now starting to come into the system. We provided more than $67 million for special education for Nevada. We provided $3.7 million for technology, education technology for kids, $81 million for Title I education for the disadvantaged, $3.5 million for Department of Labor youth state grants, $608,000 for lunch programs for the very, very poor, $748,000 for energy assistance, $105 million for food stamps, $830,000, which is a program that we think is will help youth-based organizations. We have $14.5 million for quality child care for low-income people. I forgot to get rid of this. Gavin, get rid of this for me. $3.1 million Head Start, $5 million for community service block grants to local community action agencies for services to low-income families that have been hurt by the economic crisis. We've done a lot of things that will indirectly help children. Now, the issue is what this new Education Secretary, Arne Duncan, is going to do or try to do. And I think what he is talking about doing is something that's really important. We have to have we have to change what we've been doing in the past. Now, I think there's been far too much focus on failing teachers. There are failing teachers, but there aren't very many. The number of teachers who are not good teachers are very, very small. But like everything in life, a few bad teachers spoil the whole barrel of all of us. But I think Duncan has ideas how to focus on that. I think one of the things I'm impressed that he's talking about doing is keeping kids in school. Dropouts are, every time a school drops out, that child becomes less than that child could be, adding to the cost of the welfare system, the criminal justice system, and the education system. We need to keep kids in school, and I've tried. Jeff Bingaman from New Mexico and I introduced legislation to create within the Department of Education a dropout czar whose sole function would be to look at dropout programs around the country that work and then give challenge grants to school districts so that they would try to develop some of these same programs. So the Leave No Child Behind Act is going to be updated, certainly will be, but I think it's going to be changed fairly dramatically. It's really remarkable that there's so many people of goodwill that are willing to devote their time, energy, and efforts to trying to help kids. As I indicated to the woman that runs the juvenile judges facility or works there, what would we be without that? But I say to each of you, what would we be without your contributions to making this place a more civilized, make it more civilized by working with these kids who so badly need help. Your heart just goes out to what we see here. Again, don't want to dwell on my personal experiences, but this was a long time ago, when I was practicing law, I was going to work, and my office was on 3rd Street, and I'm by myself, and I see this little boy dribbling a basketball, just crying his eyes out. And, you know, you don't want to interfere with somebody, but he was just crying so hard. And I don't know, he was maybe 9 years old, 10 maybe. And I rolled down the window and said, "What's the matter, buddy?" And he was, "Oh, my teacher made me bring home my basketball." And so I said, "Come on, I'll take you home." Well, it's obvious, this dirty little boy, it was morning, he should have been all cleaned up, hadn't combed his hair, his face was dirty. I guarantee he hadn't had breakfast. I took him home, he dropped off his basketball, and I took him back to school. I felt so sorry for this little boy. I mean, how can this kid learn if he has nobody at home, even though having wash his face or comb his hair, and not having had anything to eat, and he's going to go to school and compete with all the rest of these kids? That's what your jobs, that's what you do. That's why you do this. So that little boy I saw dribbling his basketball, when I saw all these names that Katie gave me, I think of that little boy. I don't know what happened to him. but I have not gotten him out of my mind after all these years.